guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea, breaking down the latest Chelsea news on a regular basis. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe on this Thursday. As you can see by the title, we're going to be breaking down this massive story from Matt Law in the Telegraph earlier today about Declan Rice and how Chelsea and Man United have been put on alert by Declan Rice apparently turning down some contract offers from West Ham United. What does that mean for Chelsea's transfer window, potential pursuit of Declan Rice, Thomas Tuchel, all of that good stuff? We'll address that in today's video, and also once again a little bit about Erling Haaland at the end of today's news video. But before we get into any of that good stuff, please hit that like button because it helps new people find the channel. And if you don't want to miss any of the uploads, pre-season now getting closer to the start of Chelsea's brand new season in the Premier League, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And I want to say a massive thank you as well to Lucid FC for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. Bets and Chet D-Hart, great guys, brothers as well, who set up Lucid FC back in 2010. They're Chelsea fans, so supporting a Chelsea content creator. There's a really exciting interview, an exclusive interview with both of them coming out on the Fashion App Network next week, I believe it is, where you can download and find out about Lucid FC, the guys once again that have helped support this channel. Really cool guys, love the club, very happy about, of course, us winning the Champions League. And I've got some really exciting collabs coming up once again with Lucid FC in a new season. Champions League winning inspired. If you remember a few months back, we did the exclusive Son of Chelsea and Lucid giveaway. Going to have more giveaways with Lucid, trust me, as we start the new season. And as well, currently, as my viewers, you can use the discount code CFC at checkout to get $15 or £12 off all orders. You can follow Lucid FC at Lucid FC on Instagram and Twitter. So thank you, Lucid FC, once again for supporting Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. But let's get into it with this massive story from Matt Law. As you can see here, England star Declan Rice has put Manchester United and Chelsea on alert after it emerged he has turned down 2 new contract offers from West Ham United. Matt Law continues by saying that Rice is expected to reject any more imminent attempts to extend his West Ham deal, and he waits to see whether United or Chelsea firm up their interest in him with a bid. Chelsea head coach Thomas Tuchel is understood to be a fan of the player the club released as a 14-year-old, and Manchester City have shown an interest in Rice as well. Chelsea are in the market for a striker this summer, but Tuchel would like to add a new midfielder, with Rice among his top targets and a right-sided player to his squad. West Ham value Rice at around 100 million, but the midfielder would want to be informed on any offers the club receive for him and would most likely be disappointed if bids in the region of 60 million were turned down, given he did not cost the Hammers anything. As well, Adam Newson from Football London reporting this earlier today, and Jacob Steinberg too from The Guardian. So I think, you're getting good sources talking about this. I think generally looking at this in terms of Declan Rice and what does this mean, I don't think this drastically changes the situation for Chelsea. It's still going to be probably a massive deal. I think it's going to be one a bit like the Haaland deal that would take a long time if Chelsea were quite serious on Declan Rice this summer. What it does do in kind of an unofficial way from Declan Rice and I guess his camp, as you'd call it now, with players, is it kind of, in a way, without him handing in a transfer request, which of course would be a dramatic turn of events and really pushing for a move, he kind of is pushing for a move without doing it in sort of the way that I think would trigger West Ham fans in a sense. The narrative from, I guess, from Declan Rice's side is that, he's been turning down contract offers. He isn't being paid as much as some other players. And of course, I'm sure West Ham fans, given how much Declan Rice means to their current team, that's going to annoy West Ham fans who do have at times a hostile relationship with their ownership. And from the West Ham side of things, kind of saying there haven't been that many extensive talks and, we're not going to sell Declan Rice this summer. So always in these things, there are two sides to a story, and, clubs will brief journalists a lot of the time, and sometimes will want to put out things that make them look good. And of course, there is a different side to the story with Declan Rice. So in terms of what it means for Rice, I kind of think my main takeaway from it is him kind of saying, as a player, I'm open to leaving this summer. Now, that does not mean that Chelsea are going to sign him this summer. It's like ready to go. Chelsea would still have to put in a good enough bid. Would that bid be good enough for West Ham to accept? Upwards of 100 million. That is a lot of money as well, when you consider the fact that Chelsea apparently are trying to do a deal for Erling Haaland this summer. Could you do both of them in the same summer? That's always been a doubt of mine, given upwards of 100 million. But it's no real shock that Declan Rice would want to come back to Chelsea, given his history, given the fact this is his boyhood club. He didn't make it here, but of course he has roots here naturally and has a great friend, his best mate in the current first team. That's not the reason to buy a player. The reason I'd want Chelsea to buy Declan Rice is because I think he's a fantastic midfielder that offers Chelsea everything we currently don't have in central midfield, and I think would really improve us for the new season. But I think that, as I say, just because this report has come out, and it is exciting to think that a move could happen for Rice this summer, as is one of my big targets, I don't think it means that it's necessarily going to happen. I think there's a long way to go. And as we know, Man United, who've just done a big deal for Jadon Sancho, are looking pretty serious in the market this summer. So I'm sure they'd be in for him. And I think they need a central midfielder as well. So it could be a race between Chelsea and Man United for Declan Rice if it was to get to that. I think that, Declan Rice, this deal and kind of the reports of this remind me of another English player that Chelsea were in for last summer and eventually signed, Ben Chilwell. If you remember with Chilwell, the fee originally that was being quoted for Chilwell, and you can go back on my channel and watch all the previous Let's Talk Chelsea's, where upwards of 80 million, and a lot of people, including myself at the time, were kind of put off by that. But in the end, Marina did her work and we got it down to about 50 million, wasn't it? And in the end, that's an incredible deal given what Ben Chilwell turned out to be for Chelsea. I feel kind of similar with this in the sense of Declan Rice. I think, 60 million, 70 million potentially upwards. If someone was like to me, you can pay 100 million, and this isn't always as simple as it is. And of course, it's not just down to fee, it's down to wages as well. But, who do you want to pay more for this summer, Erling Haaland or Declan Rice? I'm probably going to prioritise Erling Haaland because, Chelsea need to score more goals next season, and I think we need a clinical striker. But Rice is going to cost the club a lot, and I think it's down to the priority. One thing I do want to stress in this story that's been repeated by the likes of Matt Law and Jacob Steinberg and Adam Newson and other Chelsea reporters now consistently is that Thomas Tuchel likes Declan Rice and sees him as a big target. So I don't want to hear any stuff now that apparently Thomas Tuchel doesn't want Declan Rice, because this is coming from very reliable reporters who know what they're speaking about. And I think that Tuchel, the fact that he values, Declan Rice and clearly has him as one of his top targets, is not that surprising given on the profile of midfielder we'd be looking at, whether that be a Tchouaméni to bring into the team as well, who I spoke about in yesterday's video and I had big admiration for as well. I think that's a good player. But Declan Rice, I think, is a step above because he's Premier League experienced, and his performances for West Ham last year were truly incredible for a player of his age as well. Still have a long way to go in his career, and had a big performance the other night for England against Germany. So this is going to be a big deal if it was to happen. I think that, as I say, it's one step. I think now it's maybe on Chelsea or Man United to make a move potentially for Declan Rice, and we may see that in the coming weeks as pre-season gets going, the Euros comes to an end, and we may see more activity. Let me know your opinions about Declan Rice. I know, the thing about Declan Rice, as with a lot of things, social media has become heated, and some people are really against signing Declan Rice. As I say, I think that if it was to come down to a striker or a DM, as much as I like Declan Rice, I'd probably still go for a striker. But Declan Rice, I'm not going to deny, is I think a brilliant player, and I think would radically improve our chances in the Premier League next year in terms of what the current squad needs in midfield, and I think would be an excellent long-term signing as well for the club. So let me know your opinions on this story, Declan Rice, in the comments below. But I just wanted as well, this comes from Duncan Castles about Erling Haaland in his transfer podcast. Haaland expects to join Chelsea this summer. Matt Law gave a little bit in the London is Blue podcast yesterday about Erling Haaland. Kind of, there's not been much, but you do get a sense that Chelsea quite clearly have been working behind the scenes on this deal, and there have been some things going on. It's all going to be about that price, whether it can be done, I think, this summer. And the wage structure thing has always been a big thing I've brought up before. It's just going to be a ridiculous fee. Like, it's going to be earth-shattering for Chelsea. As a club, I think it will break the club record on any transfer. That doesn't mean Chelsea shouldn't do it if they can do it, but I think that that's what's going to mean you're going to have to be a lot more patient, I think, on Erling Haaland. We know how long Kai Havertz took, and Kai Havertz, with all the reports we heard last summer after we signed him, this was a deal that had kind of been in the works for about a year. So that's how long that Kai Havertz deal eventually took to get done. So I think this is going to be something that's going to take a while, and I do think that Jadon Sancho going to Man United now could hurt Chelsea's pursuit of Erling Haaland, because I think losing both of them in a summer after they've got Champions League football as well, Borussia Dortmund, I think does make it a little bit more difficult for Chelsea in terms of would Dortmund be willing to let both go, unless Chelsea have to just pay massive money. And I think in the coming weeks we'll get to see whether that is realistic this summer. Or as well, another thing Matt Law said on that London is Blue pod is that, you know, we look at the likes of Romelu Lukaku, who I've constantly championed on this channel, who I think would be an amazing target for Chelsea. He did say pre the Euros that he's fully committed to Inter Milan, and that may just be a PR move to get sort of journalists off his back during the Euros for Belgium, who are currently in the quarterfinals. That may change post Euros, but Lukaku for me is still in kind of realistic big transfer striker targets this summer. I think he's the only other one, maybe Lewandowski, because of course there's a contract situation there, but that's kind of it, you know, for me. As I've constantly stressed on this channel, I think other than that, if you can't get the top targets, I'm not a big fan of going in for a 20 to 30 million striker, especially, you know, when you got the likes of Tammy Abraham, who scored over 20 Premier League goals in the previous 2 seasons. So you've got someone who is Premier League proven there, and I know obviously Tuchel quite clearly didn't fancy him at the back end of last season, but, you know, we may get into a situation this summer where Tammy stays at Chelsea, or, you know, you're going to let both Giroud and Tammy leave and force yourself into a situation where you may have to buy more than one attacking player. I think that'd be difficult for Chelsea. But let me know your opinions on Erling Haaland. I would say that I think, just based on previous after international tournaments, I think that things will move quickly. I think we will hear more things after the Euros, as we naturally do, and that's not only on incomings, I think that's on outgoings as well. Chelsea need to sell a lot of players, and there are players that just I don't think we can keep any longer, and we need to try and get out of the club, you know, whether that's a Timoe Bakayoko, despite reports of him being given a chance at Chelsea, other players to the likes of Danny Drinkwater, Davide Zappacosta, Emerson being linked away continuously. So that, hopefully those things will ramp up, and that could potentially help Chelsea in their pursuit of big targets this summer. But thank you guys for watching this episode of Let's Talk Chelsea. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.